What's up, team? Game week's not over, but we're coming to you with another episode of Two Friends, and as always, joining me is Sam. Hello, Sam. How you going?
Good, Andy. I'm going good. Game week's going good so far. Like you said, we've got a game to go. We've got Champions League fixtures before we can get into our double game week 33. But let's have a look. Let's have a chat about how we've been going. I'm all up for chatting, mate. I'm all up for chatting. How are we going? How are you going?
Mate, still a pretty average game week for me so far. I think I'm just above like the average points by like two points. I ended up making one transfer, Gordon to Murphy, because I just wasn't trusting Gordon was going to play, which he hasn't so far. That has turned out to be a very average trade by me. But yeah, haven't had much luck with this game week so far. You've done really well. Your Rogers and your Bradley Cole have really been well. So yeah, your transfers in, each one has been dynamite, man, which is definitely hats off to you. But for me, the game week's not over yet. We still have a game where I think you mentioned you've got 5 players. I've got 6 players to go. So let's see how that actually shapes up. For me, I know you've played a triple captain, so I just need to keep holding on to the lead while you play the triple captain. And if we can still do that, then we've got the same amount of chips to play. So I'm still in the race there. That's the most important one.
Yeah, and for me, again, it's just been like we talked about last week. It's a bit of luck this week. It was a bit of luck. I was let me share my screen for now, and we can chat through. Like you said, I did make some couple of transfers. I was a bit coy on what I was going to do last week. And I was going to hold off. I was going to bench boost, and I didn't. I changed my mind last minute. So, see on the screen, I did move Gabriel out for Bradley, which was a good move. He's sitting there with his clean sheet point. He went off about 10 minutes before the West Ham scored, so he still gets a clean sheet point and 3 bonus. Don't know how that happens, but happy to take the little 9 points from him. The assist from Salah, assist from Rogers, assist from Marmoush, assist from goal from Eze, assist from Sarr. So all happy there. Kirker's sitting on the bench with 7 so far, which is a bit annoying, but still got the double Newcastle defence, double Crystal Palace midfield, and then the mixed attack there to go. So 63 at the moment, which is rounds are not over, but it's taking me up to 200 and odd thousand place overall. So a good little week.
We're almost at the same game, like total overall rank. I've slipped, I think 100,000 places since my 120k game week. And yeah, that Bradley clean sheet was jammy. Yeah. Mate, that was such a jammy clean sheet, but well played.
And I played with it for a while. I was like, who do I bring in? Do I just play Kirkes? But Liverpool have got Leicester next week. So with my idea of bench boosting next week, that's a good player to have in there who isn't playing a double game week, who still has a good fixture. So, Leicester did score twice this week after not scoring for about 7 weeks. So, it is anyone's game, but it was a decent-ish call. My other idea that I thought about was moving Diaz in, which was would have been a good one. He did get a goal, and moving whoever out that I moved Rogers in for. So, swings and roundabouts. Good call on the Bradley, and happy to take the points for that one.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. So, what's the plans for this upcoming week then?
Well, as we talked about before off screen, it does kind of depend on what happened in the Champions League games this week. But if everything goes to plan, this is probably what I'm going to look at. So, I will be moving both of my Newcastle boys in defence out, and they will be replaced with William Saliba and Ruben Diaz. And I will also lose Isak from the front line, and I'll bring in Ollie Watkins for their double. So I will have starting will be Raya, Gvardiol, Saliba, Ruben Diaz, Saka, Rogers, Eze, Sarr, and then Mateta and Watkins with Marmoush, Salah, Bradley, and Kirkers on the bench. But it doesn't really matter because I'm going to bench boost, so they're all going to get points anyway. So there's double game weeks for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I think it is, players. And then, Sells at Tottenham, this could be okay. Kirkers at Palace could be okay. And then Bradley and Salah away at Leicester. So decent fixtures for those who don't have double game weeks. Double game weeks, bench boost, kind of running out of options to bench boost. So there's a few nice little players on the bench there for hopefully another little bonus. But yeah, it could all change if obviously Arsenal playing in the Champions League this week, as are Villa, so there could be some changes there if either of those pick up injuries. If Villa do get knocked out, they are 3-1 down in their legs. If they are knocked out, then Watkins will definitely come in as long as he's not injured. Because that's it for them. They'll have the league to go for. Same with Saka. If Real Madrid do turn around the 3-0 lost when they're from the first leg and Arsenal go out, then Saka will definitely come in because they'll all have the league to go. I think he's going to stay in the team regardless as to what happens now. I don't think I'll move to anyone else because with what my plans here is already a -8 anyway. I'm moving in a couple of double week players, so I'm kind of got my rose tinted glasses on and going to call it a -4. So, yeah, that's probably roughly what I'm looking at. But yeah, things can change. It's hard to tell really at this point, but I'll let you know next week what actually happened because it seems to be the way of it for me this week. As I say one thing and do another.
The acrobat. I think for me, it depends on what happens with this Aston Villa game. So this is the team so far, and yeah, I'll definitely be bench boosting. This is the team so far, and I'm just not sure. I will most likely do a -4, possibly a -8, but who I bring in from Aston Villa is yet to be decided. Because if Watkins doesn't play at all against PSG, you'd think that they're taking that PSG game pretty seriously. So if Watkins doesn't play at all, to me that there's a few rumors about him potentially being injured. So if he doesn't play at all, that's not a good sign for me. If he plays PSG, then I don't think Aston Villa are going to win. But if he plays PSG, then chances are he'll be all right. Then I'll do Isaac to Watkins. But if he doesn't play PSG and instead Rashford plays on his instead, I'd probably go Murphy to Rashford is something I'd actually be looking at as a potential option. And I have thought about going Pope to Edison. So they're playing Everton and Aston Villa, but here's the thing: the Man City defense leaves a bit to be desired. I have toyed around also with the idea of just going rogue and saying, well, stuff double game week players. I want to bring in the likes of a Luis Diaz instead, or someone else who's got a single game week but a really good single game week.
Yeah.
So I'm not fully. In short, that's my way of saying I don't know. I think the Aston Villa uncertainty will make a big impact on what transfers I make. So if Aston Villa have certainty, I think Rodgers is probably the most certain player. So maybe I do bring in Rodgers, right? But if Aston Villa's certainty is really up in the air, then maybe one transfer is Rodgers and the second one is going to just go rogue. But if there is certainty, then I may go a Watkins and a Rodgers, or a Rashford and a Rodgers.
Yeah. How many free transfers do you hold for this week?
No, I've only got
just
one. So I'll just be doing -4. Yeah, because for me, a -4 for a double game week player is really like a -2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which is kind of what I was saying before. And I think looking ahead, because my loose plan is to free hit 34, which is the blank, and then then 34, I'll bring back the Newcastle players that I've got rid of because they're playing Ipswich. And then after that, I think we're starting to get. Hang on, let me just whip up the fixtures. 33, 34. 35. So 35, you've got City are playing Wolves, so that's not a bad one if you bring in some City assets.
Also, not a bad one if you're with the Wolves attacking.
No, that's true. 36, City play Southampton, and then it is Bournemouth and Fulham to end. So it's one of those tricky ones, isn't it? You don't want to load up on players who have a poor run to end the season, but you're also it's difficult because I'm kind of the reason why I was struggling with picking a player for midfield is I liked the look of Diaz for the next few game weeks, but with Arsenal drawing a lot and Liverpool now only needing 6 points to get to the title, I just wonder at what point once that title is secure, does that Liverpool team drop off a bit? If you can get a little bit of extra rest going into the summer, that's probably not a bad thing. And we've done it now. We don't really need to keep the pressure on, get to them, and when do the team start nicking points off them? So but then it becomes, who do you bring in? So I think I've very short-sightedly gone, I'm going to target the doubles for now, try and maximize points out of those, and then the free hit week, it'll just be the best players I think you can get, and that gives me then a week to plan 35 properly, without being too distracted by other things. Hopefully, then we might know what other teams are going to double again for the FA Cup semis. So yeah, it's just my decision making of late has been quite good, I feel, and I've made some decent decisions. So I think I'm keeping on that train for now, just to see where it gets to. Since I've managed to bring in Fernandes for the right game week, I've brought in Bradley for the right game week, so just going to keep trusting myself until one of these decisions doesn't go well, and then that'll be my time to stop and kind of just examine it without going too mad, without ending up with a team full of Southampton players because they have a good fixture against Ipswich. I'm just gonna. I think it's slow and steady, but very early game week plans, because again we've got a couple of Champions League fixtures to go this week. So, after that we might have a very different idea.
Yeah. That foresight and planning is probably something I don't do well enough. I literally just go, what's the next game week? Maybe tops have an rough idea of the game week after. I feel like I should be spending more time on looking at, hey, who's got the better run of fixtures? I know a few tools have the fixture ticker. I literally don't know. I think roughly Liverpool have a harder run of fixtures at some point, I think, over the next couple. But then Man City have, like you said, a more decent run of fixtures. So it's something which I think I'd probably need to improve on, which is my decision making when it comes to EPL. I've been very much like, okay, watch a few videos while I'm in the gym in the background. What are the names I hear most? All right, do I consider bringing them in? Right, and that's like the extent of. Honestly, that's probably been the extent of my FPL knowledge so far. You know what's one thing which is interesting though, and this is actually tied in with the performance being poorer. I stopped playing the price game around game week 30, and I actually haven't checked the price websites at all. And I wonder if me previously playing the price game kept me on good players because they were also the players going up, and then me not playing the price games is basically that was the only finger on the pulse I had of players which were hot, which I should be bringing in. So I'm wondering, okay, maybe because my game plan has always been I play the game price game for 2/3 of the game the season and I stop, right? But maybe the play is just to keep playing the price game, because if I think about, do I want to go and plan ahead, look at fixtures, then look at heat maps or like all that sort of stuff? Nah, that's not. I feel like for me, that's probably the next stage of FPL, and I'm not ready to take that leap. I'm still like that casual player who, I guess, has jammed his way into getting okay scores for someone who's a very reasonably casual player.
And I think I would tend to agree, and I'd say that the difference being is that for the first half of the season, certain batch of players were doing well and going up in price. What's happened in the last few game weeks is Fernandes had a good couple of game weeks, and I risked him before wildcard when maybe some other people were, but he wasn't going up in price because he's already kind of low owned. Bradley is like this week, he has a couple of good game weeks to come. He is 0.6% owned. That can't be right. No, 0.6% owned. So he's not going to price rise, so you won't pick him up. If you think about, but you wouldn't pick him up if you didn't know that Trent was injured. He had contract negotiations with Real Madrid. The other right back is injured. Bradley's going to play. You don't know that unless you know that kind of stuff. You don't know that Rashford at Villa might be a good option if Watkins is out because he's not going to rise in price because he's dropped quite a bit since he was at the start of Man United. So these are the kind of late game things that have come up. Like the big ones are obviously when we had Cunha was out, suspended. Who is the obvious option? That's the other forward. So that's Strand Larson. And that was kind of like, you kind of saw that move and the price did go up for him. But with defenders, there are other options. So Bradley kind of comes a little disguised. Same with Fernandez. United don't look great, becomes a little bit disguised. I mean, you do get bandwagons a bit. But if we're talking about bandwagons, differentials, and those probably coming out of the blue and not price rise, you talked about maybe going for a little bit of an off left of field punt for the week. Can I interest you in a Kevin De Bruyne?
Yeah, I definitely thought about him. If I didn't have to spend a free transfer to get him back out potentially, yeah, would be interested. So he is someone who I'm like, oh, it's not a no. It would have to be like, stuff it, yeet, hit the button. I don't want to look at it. It would be that type of decision, only because of his minutes, right? And here's the thing: I get my news from other YouTubers. So I don't know how true this stuff is, but they were saying apparently he said something about this is the first time he's played pain-free from like a hernia or something like that. If that's the case, and the other thing is, the guy's getting older, right? Can he play back-to-back games?
Yeah, and I mean, it's about the risk you want to put on it. So Phil Foden was not in the game week, in the game team lineup for the last one. He wasn't selected in the squad. So why not? Don't know. De Bruyne did come out and say he's been playing through pain for the last, couple of months to years. And he's played properly and like as what he would up to scratch. He's also out of contract at the end of the year and he's not staying at Manchester City. So is he now playing for a contract at a team of substance, or is he accepting a move to the MLS or to Saudi or somewhere like that? If it's the first one, you're going to see some performances from him to show people that I've still got this, I can still do this. And in that last game, yeah, he can still do it. So if he's going to go and do that and they've got no one else to fall back on, could be a good punt. But again, like you said, it depends on where you go next. If you have the funds and the availability to have De Bruyne for a couple of game weeks and then maybe moving back to a Palmer for the end of the season, if you can get the funds for that, might be a decent move. If you're going to be stuck with KDB for the remainder of the season, maybe worth a thought.
And that's the thing for me, is being stuck with KDB. Where do you go from there? And does that close you off from other pressing transfers? Like I said, it's not a no. Like with my going rogue, what I talked about earlier, he's definitely in the running. Yeah, it's either it would be going rogue on a forward or going rogue in a midfield. I probably wouldn't go rogue on defense only because the upside's less. Yeah. So honestly, yeah, I don't know. I feel like at this point in the season, you asked me last week whether I'd take a few risks, and I think because of the continuous poor performance, it's almost like I've painted myself into a corner where it's like, I may as well take a few risks because I've got nothing to lose, right? But then even then, it's like I don't know what risks to take, other than relying on what people's performances have been so far, and it's the minutes. If I knew someone was going to play in and out, I think you can then take the risk. But not knowing they're going to play in and out and potentially even risking that they don't play at all, that's a big risk to take, because it's not like you're going for a differential who is still nailed on, but people just aren't talking about them. You're going for someone who isn't nailed on. And if you look at probabilities wise, that doesn't really stack up.
Yeah, and that's where it is a bit of almost a Hail Mary or a whatever. It's not going for an Eze because he's got good fixtures. It's going for a Foden. It's going for a Darwin Núñez. It's going for someone who's been in and out of the team a little bit, who might not return. And yes, they have good fixtures, but they maybe won't play in them, which that gets tricky. So it really depends on where you want to be and how safe you want to play. Like, I think after this week, I think I'm on the safe train now because I think I've moved a bit up, and maybe next week with the free hit, I feel like it's going to be a big free hit week. And I feel like it's going to be the same players being free hit in. So maybe I'll make 1 or 2 kind of like for me decisions on that one, but don't know. But for now, I don't think there's too much more we can chat about with the game week not being finished, is there? Other than to say what that 100-point gap is now down to what 10 points? What is it?
10 points. Oh, I got to hold on to that final. If I can get away with this game week with you not pulling ahead with the triple captain, then that would be a good place, I reckon.
So yeah, you are the top of our leaderboard looks fabulous at the moment. You are top with 2,078 points. Mr. Buzz is second with 2,073 points after having a huge game week with 71 points. Then there's me 3 points behind on 2070, and then Seth behind on 2069. So there is 4 of us within 9 points of each other. So Mr. Buzz had Pope in goal, Milinkovic, Guardiola, Konsa, Semenyo with 10 points, João Pedro with 13 points, Kirkes, Salah. So some differential picks in there, but he's only got Barnes and Isak to play as the single captain as well. So I'd be interested to see how that plays out for the end. But 9 points now between you and fourth is it's really hotting up in that league.
Mate, I feel like I fumbled hard because I was leading by a huge gap for so much of the season. And I've just fumbled it massively. But no, that makes it for an interesting competition because then it's like really heated up for basically top 4.
Well, we've been saying all year that Spurs be Spursy, but if you fundle this lead now next year, it's not going to be Spurs be Spursy. It's going to be Andy be Arsenal-y.
Yes, I know. I'm doing the Arsenal thing, but no, I'm still feeling optimistic, but also am keen to be like, okay, what does a new season bring out of curiosity? But also, yeah, still optimistic because if I look at what I set out to do from the beginning of the season, it was always around that 200k.
Yeah,
but I just want to beat my score last year, so I just want to see, okay, can I still do that?
Yeah, and I mean, there's still 6 game weeks to go. We've got at least 1 lot of double game weeks. Everything can change. We've got chip to play each. It's all still to play for, and it's
2 chips to play: bench boost and free hit.
That's right. So
yeah, I think we're all bench boosting and free hitting in the same week. So
I know. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be good. We'll chat again next week, I think, and we'll see how our game weeks finished off this week. I think we might end up recording maybe before the second lot of the doubles again next week, which might be annoying, but we'll see what we can do, and we'll see what we can get out to you.
Peace.
See you guys.